What's up, agency owners? Jason Swenk here with another great episode of the Smart Agency Masterclass, a podcast for the agency owner that wants to unlock and grow your agency faster so you're not having to do everything yourself. And it's always a really good thing. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about AI. And is it profitable for agencies? What should you be aware of with AI tools for everything? So let's go ahead and jump into the show. Hey, Megan and Ryan, how are you doing?
Great, good to be here.
Yes.
Yeah, doing well. Thanks, Jason.
Awesome. Well, tell us who you guys are and what you guys do.
Ryan Sargent. I am the director of content marketing for Verblio, the world's friendliest content creation agency. Not my first rodeo here on this podcast. I'm excited to be back.
Awesome. And it is my first rodeo. I'm Megan Skalvek, and I'm doing strategic initiatives at Verblio on the marketing team as well. And so recently that's just been a kind of a deep dive into AI tools and how we should be using them.
Awesome. Well, let's talk about how can agencies use AI to make more money? What are you guys seeing, right? Like that's why people are listening to the show. They want to make more money and understand the newest, greatest things.
I'll fire away with the hot take and let Megan fix me afterwards. If your agency isn't planning on using AI at all in 2023, you're making a mistake. And if you think that AI content tools are going to somehow replace every freelancer you've ever met and totally fool Google, and you're never going to need to work with a writer again, you're also making a huge mistake. And the reality is that very soon, in the next few months, agencies need to be using AI tools as a tool, not as a catch-all, not as a silver bullet, and need to be working with people who know AI in and out. Megan happens to be one of those people, so I'm very lucky that I get to work with her.
Yeah, I would say that sums it up pretty well. Agencies can absolutely be using AI to make more money. One interesting thing we found in our recent survey of marketers is just who is using AI and how. And agencies are actually lagging behind in-house marketers and freelancers in their use of AI tools, which I think is kind of a mistake on the agency's part. But like Ryan said, there's a balance here, right? So AI tools, their strength right now is that they can produce a lot of words. They can do it at scale, but there's a lot of weaknesses there too, right? Factual accuracy is a problem. There's no guarantee that anything it writes is going to be correct. There's no guarantee that it's going to, if you have it create a blog post, its structure may not be logical or make sense at all. It can really go off the rails. And so, to Ryan's point, it's very much a tool that needs to be used right now. It is not, you should not be viewing any AI tool as like a service or a finished product. Like you need to be in there working with them. And if you do that, they can be really effective.
Yeah, I think, if you have a good kind of process or system in there to kind of, I think a lot of times, and I know from with me is it's hard to start something, but if you can use like a tool like AI to start it and then kind of look at it going, oh, that was good there. Let's kind of take it a little bit further. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
100%. It can do a great job saving you from a blank page. But you've got to go into it with the mindset of, okay, I'm going to be editing and reviewing and probably doing significant rework of everything that it writes. But it can absolutely get it started for you. It's great at generating ideas, that sort of thing. Continuing your thoughts. The more input you give it, the better it will be. But again, that requires work. That requires really learning how to use it.
I think it's really tempting for an agency to look at the cost of an AI tool, which in some cases is free, and say, wow, for so much less money, I could be producing so much more content. And that's really tempting until we get to what Megan was just talking about and we see the finished product. And if other writers, other agencies, and clients can all look at that finished product, you can bet that Google is as well. And if, for example, OpenAI is even looking at watermarking content. So relying on AI as your sole means of content production will burn you eventually, right? This is going to be revealed as AI created at some point. So instead, take the good of AI and improve it with humans.
Why do you think agencies are slow adapters to this particular technology?
Well, we asked about that in the survey actually, and a third of agencies actually said that it was because they're worried their clients would be unhappy if they were using it. And the remaining percentage often talked about things like quality, but it was a sizable portion that was simply worried about that client side, which I found really interesting. And I think, and Jason, you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, I think that that may not be correct, right? In a lot of cases, I think customers might actually be waiting for agencies to be the experts and to tell them if they should be using AI or not. And as long as they're transparent about it, like that's really the key thing. Like, don't be using AI to save money and then not telling your clients that you're doing it, and then they get burned down the line if you're not doing it correctly, right? Like, have that open conversation with them. But if you can tell them how you're using it, how it's helping you save money, you're passing that value on to them. I think clients would be a lot more open to that, right? They're hearing the same things about AI that the rest of us are. In my view, they're going to want to know that you're at least considering it and thinking about this and not just kind of burying your head in the sand. So that's my personal take.
Agencies, I think, also have different use cases. A brand agency working with some really deep creative work isn't going to get as much out of AI today as, say, an SEO agency that's trying to produce as much content as possible as rapidly as possible. At the same time, that SEO agency, you can't just read it for the factual errors. You also need to read it and say, even if this ranks, will it convert? And you don't want to be the SEO agency that somehow gets all of these page one rankings and is in every SERP and then doesn't ever make any money for your client. Like that's a recipe for disaster. And I think there's going to be some people that make that mistake very soon. Like they're going to look at this and say, wow, 10,000 of pieces of content at the blink of an eye, and none of it's going to make money.
That I go back to when I started the first agency in the late 90s. The way to get ranked in some of those search engines, this was even before Google, was literally just put 1,000 words, the same word blended into the background. I kind of feel it's kind of the same way of using these AI tools now of going, yeah, rank really. But then when you read the article, you're like, man, like you guys are morons. Like I can't understand any of this. Like you came up, but you look like an idiot. It's kind of like you come out of the house naked when you're supposed to come out in a suit and tie, just to give you that visual.
Well, and that's why I'm so glad that we're talking about SEO today and not 10 years ago, right? Like Google is so much better at actually rewarding quality results. And in my mind, like Google, that's what Google cares about, right? They care about quality, they care about answering searchers' queries, full stop. They don't actually care. They have no intrinsic reason to care how that content was created, right? If you're using AI to help you create content and you're creating content that does what the searcher needs, that's fine. If you're using AI to create bad content, like then it's going to be penalized like bad content that you created any other way. There's no difference there.
So what should agencies do today or in 23? Like if you were like, obviously there's agency owners, a lot of agency owners listening right now. What's one thing you want them to do right now if they haven't checked out AI?
Megan, you go first on this.
All right. Well, I mean, from a personal curiosity standpoint, like try out one of the free versions of the tools. Get a sense of like what the technology is and just learn how it works. I mean, it's wild. It's going to transform a lot of things. But if you're not going to want to put in the time to really learn how to use this effectively, work with somebody who is, and do be thinking about how you're going to be using it. Because again, if you are not, your competitors will be, and they will be taking advantage of that. Just make sure that you're using it responsibly. And again, either learn how to do that yourself if you're interested in doing that, if you have the time and resources to do that, or work with somebody who is.
The work with somebody who is where I would chime in. That AI is this incredibly powerful tool. We've already discussed that agencies might be hesitant because it is a brand new thing. Investing that time and resource and effort in learning a new thing is complicated. It adds cost, both in terms of that time and effort and also financially. So instead of hiring an entire team of in-house writers or figuring out what the free tool can do and relying on it as your saving grace, find a partner and find a partner that can give you that AI expertise, whether that's on the content side or with the AI itself, with the tool, and trust that expertise to kind of jumpstart your plan.
Yeah, I almost think too is, my experience with AI was when it came out, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Like I thought everything probably everybody's thinking like, man, I can create all this amazing content really quick. And then I was like, man, this is kind of piss poor on a lot of things. I need to use it to start. But I think at the end of the day, it's all about figuring out what's the plan and coming up with a system in order to figure out what you guys need to do next. Like, how can I utilize it? I always told everybody, we did a lot of logos back in the day. And then I looked at all the technology now and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's all this technology that can create all these logos. You can kind of crowdsource it and then kind of dwindle it down to a more refined version internally. And that's kind of how I look at AI, of going, use this tool, figuring out like to get you started, to get a lot of that meat, and then refine the hell out of it and make sure it works for SEO, make sure it makes you look smart. You don't want to go out of your house naked. Well, I guess unless you joined a cult or whatever those things are, a nudist colony, I guess. But just really investigate, put a plan together, rather than just trying to jump on a new technology because it's new. I think too many of us go into it and don't have a plan, and if you don't have a plan, you're just gonna come out of it hurt.
The other thing I would add to that is that AI is not created equally across different use cases. So if you are an agency who's creating, say, thought leadership for your client, AI is not going to be much help there, right? If you're working with somebody who you're creating content on really cutting edge new technology or news or things like that, AI is not going to be help. Where it can be really powerful is if you're doing, say, for example, local SEO, right? You're doing it on more general topics for maybe a local roofing contractor or something like that, right? AI can really help you a lot because it's been trained on online content. There's a lot of that content out there. So keeping in mind which use cases it's appropriate for and which it's not is really key too.
Awesome. Well, this has been amazing, guys. Is there anything I didn't ask you that you think would benefit the audience about listening in for AI?
Just the thing I would I guess reiterate is that transparency is such an important piece of this, that clients who are concerned about AI, either on either side, too much or not using it enough, transparency about how much you are doing and that you're interested in learning will go a long way on kind of that client relations side, I think.
And what we've been doing on our end is really figure out the best way to use it. And it's not as simple as just, okay, the AI spit this out. I'm going to do a quick polish of it, edit, and send it out, and we're good to go. To really get the most out of it, you have a human in that process earlier on, helping provide the structure, providing input throughout the way. And that's how we're creating our best results with AI content. But you've got to be willing to kind of do that back and forth earlier on. Second quick point I'll say is the economy right now makes AI especially valuable, right? This is not the time where you're going to want to hire a whole in-house team to do your content creation, right? You can leverage AI and find a partner who knows how to use AI and create a lot more with less right now, which I think is pretty valuable.
Don't say the R word. I don't believe in it. Where can people go and check you guys out a little bit more, especially on the topic of AI and partnering with you guys?
Yeah, as you might have guessed based on the last 15 minutes of us talking, we've been doing a lot of research on this. And that's where, again, I'm so grateful to have Megan on the team. Like, Megan is a former writer and then also has done stuff with coding. So she's done best of both worlds there and has been doing a ton of research into this. So you can check out our survey results at verblio.com/AI, give you the state of where marketers are at today. And then we've been publishing a bunch of other research and looking into how best to support agencies who want to produce content.
Yeah, and I applaud what you guys have done for many, many years for agencies and being a really good resource to all of our mastermind members and clients that we send to you guys, and we use you guys. And Megan, I just found out you used to write for us many years ago, so I'm glad we connected. I know Verblio kind of hides you in the back. So now you're out in the open. We all know who you are now.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, everybody go to verblio.com/AI. Go check them out. Check out the survey results. Highly recommend you guys check out Verblio. They're amazing. And until next time, have a swank day.